In honor of Deadpool and Wolverine coming out this weekend for our first episode of Page 1, I'd like to look at Deadpool, the original, from 2016. We're going to actually look at a shooting script. There's a lot of different scripts that we can look at. The one that I'm looking at is online. I'll also link that in the description box below. But it just gives us a starting point or a way to look and examine the script. Now, again, this is not the first version of the script. This is a shooting script, which is actually what we'd probably see in the theater. So just so you know, there's some differences between those. As always, most scripts go through some revisions and stuff. So the screenwriters for Deadpool are Wright Reese as well as Paul Wernick. So the one thing you'll notice about this is we actually don't cover the montage that we initially see at the beginning of the movie. Basically, we start with Over Black, low volume, through a tiny speaker, Juice Newton's Angel of the Morning. And then we fade up on, and we interior, taxi cab morning. Deadpool in full dress reds and mask quietly fidgets in the back seat of a taxi cab as it proceeds along a city freeway. Deadpool adjusts the two katanas strapped to his back, rolls the window up, down, up, tries futilely to untwist the seatbelt, then lunges forward, locking it up, rifles through a tourist booklet, and tears out a haunted Segway tour coupon. The cabbie, young, thin, brown, glances back and forth from the rear view to the road to the rear view. Deadpool. Kind of loathsome back here. Cut to Deadpool, wedging himself through the opening between the back seat and the front. His two katanas don't cooperate, catching on the plexiglass, stalling his mid-torso. Deadpool. Little help. The cabbie grabs Deadpool's hand and pulls him through to the front. Deadpool's head rests upside down on the bench seat as he maneuvers his legs through. The cabbie turns the helping hand into a handshake, then turns down the juice. Dopinder. Deadpool, still upside down. Pool. Deadpool. Dopinder is remarkably unaffected by this lunatic in his cab. Dopinder. Why the fancy red suit, Mr. Pool? Deadpool. It's like Christmas Day, Dopinder. Been waiting 1,822 days, 3 hours, checks the Adventure Time watch, and 36 minutes for this shit. So the reason why it's important to look at the first page of each of the scripts is going to help set the mood for what the movie is about. We know that Deadpool is about a superhero, and so we are introduced right away to Deadpool. This is the first character that we see. We also know what sort of kind of movie it is because it's a little ridiculous. You can tell it's not so serious because it has lines like, "Why the fancy suit, Mr. Pool?" Typically, I don't know, it just hits me weird that they're calling him Mr. Pool like instead of Deadpool. Like, you don't call Superman Mr. Super, you don't call Mr. Batman Mr. Batman. And like I said, Deadpool's response, it's like Christmas Day, Dopinder. Been waiting 1,822 days, 3 hours, and checks the Adventure Time watch and 36 minutes for this shit. As we hear this particular dialogue too, we are also reminded that this movie is also going to be a little different than the typical superhero movies as well too, because we have a swear word in there. Also, the type of weaponry that we actually have weaponry for a superhero movie. We know this is going to be a little different than your typical Superman, Spider-Man, or Avengers type of movie. So as we look at this first page too, we're set right into the action. We as the audience are asking ourselves what's going on, what's happening. We just know that Deadpool is being transported from point A to point B in this first page. We want to know more. So one of the things we always have to remember as a screenwriter is that we want each scene to carry into the next scene. We want to say, well, what's next? So when we read this first particular scene, this first page, we're like, okay, what's next? We know the line that we end on page 1, it's like Christmas Day, Dopinder, been waiting 1,822 days, 3 minutes, checks Adventure Time watch, and 36 minutes for this shit. What's this shit? We want to know what's going to happen next, which leads us into the second scene. So just besides looking at the script in this particular way, the other thing that's interesting of note is the script does not actually fit the movie. If you read the script as we've done before, you can see that the movie actually has different scenes. Like when Deadpool is fidgeting in the cab, you notice that he doesn't do exactly everything in the scene. He doesn't twist his seatbelt like he does in the script. Instead, he takes some gum off the top of the roof, smears it across the camera, and again, you can see that's breaking the fourth wall. And we know that this is something, again, we're going to experience within the film, is that he's going to continuously break the fourth wall in this particular movie. You also notice that there's more banter between Dopinder and Deadpool. We actually see a little bit more of Dopinder's backstory as about why he's driving this crab, what sort of things are going on in his life at this particular point in time, and that's something that the script doesn't actually point out at this particular point in time. Now, some of this could have just been editing decisions, but what you also see right now is that the script isn't exactly what we see played out in the movie. We hear a lot about Gita in this particular first part of the scene, which should be on page 1, but if we look at the actual script, we actually see that it shows up on page 2 of the script. It actually takes place a little farther along. We also notice when Deadpool talks about this shit, he throws up his mask and shows off his face, where in this particular scene, they allude to his unattractive face. So Deadpool, again, it's on page 2 where Deadpool turns up his mask, but we actually just see a glimpse of his scarred face. We don't actually see the whole face like we do in the movie. We just see a little part of his face. So what are some other insights you can draw from this first page? How else has this affected the movie? How else does this allow us to get into better understanding who Deadpool is, as well as how the plot and stuff like that works? Let me know what you think of this first page of Deadpool. Leave it in the comment section below. If you like this type of content, feel free to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Live well and write well.